Hello and welcome back to another Action Game Maker tutorial. Today I'm going to go over my debug system. It's much like PGM's F1 debug system. So with that said, let's get started. Alright, so here I am in the Basilot Quest sample. I'm going to add the debug system in here. And so the first thing you can do is you can go to my hub page. You'll see the F1 debug system. You can click on it and scroll up. And I've recently updated it. I updated it today actually to add in the fact that we can now see float values on variables that you see float values, which is most of your custom variables that you make. But you'll download it, you'll unzip it, and then you're going to throw the whole add-ons folder into the main directory. You'll be using the file system to do it, but it'll pop up and it will look like this once you get it installed. All right? From right there, I just want to make sure that you know that you do have some optional settings if you want to set them right away. You can click on this scene here and it will pop up. You just click on the root node, you'll have some options right here. So you can have the above window height, how high it spawns up, and then the variable decimal length. 0.003, basically 3 decimals is what the database uses. So I felt like that was a good amount. But if you need to change it for whatever reason, you can. And so basically now this is all the settings that you have basically. But to make sure that it works is the easiest way I found was to go to the player object, go to the bind set objects. If you don't have one, you can just create one. Just add a bind objects right there. These are objects that are bound to you. Think of it like a parent. So these are you're saying what you want to spawn when this object is on the map. And you can see I already have one. It's for the player attack. So this is the basically how he swings and stuff. But I'm just going to add a new one. And this is going to be for the debugger. So I'll just name it debugger. And then we're just going to add that scene in there. So add-ons, Baz debugger, and debugger. Right? And that's literally it. So with that said, now we can playtest. And all that you have to do is you press F1 and it will pop up the debugger. Now it pops it up on its own window, okay? So you can combine it if you have one of those systems where you can now play and then have a debugger on a tab. Now, there's just multiple ways you can do it. So I did want to show you this. So if I close it and then reopen it, you can see that it just refreshes it. Okay. So before I get into the details of this, I want to show you what some of the settings look like. So if I close this down, go to the debugger right here, and I say click this above window off, what it's going to do is it's going to throw it on the side. So when I press F1, it's going to throw it up on the side. So now I have kind of two windows. If you have a big monitor, this is usable. If you have a high resolution game, it's probably not usable. But anyway, it worked for an option for me, so I figured I'd throw it out for everybody else. So yeah, you can just click between them. And this is, in my opinion, it was a little better than PGM because PGM would overlay on the window, which is nice sometimes, but sometimes when you're wanting to test more thoroughly, you wanted it out of the way. Something like that. Anyway, it's just kind of how I designed it. So now if you click this on, if you change the window height, so for example, let's give it 800. I'm pretty sure it goes up this way 800, but we'll just make sure here. Okay, so it's the height of the window. Okay, that's right. So basically, yeah, I did 400 height. So if you needed it smaller for whatever reason, which might not be very readable in that case, you can still do it. This only works if you're using the above option. Yeah, so you can see just real quick. So anyway, let's see, for testing purposes, I'm just going to leave this off. And then I just want to leave these options on. All right. So the next thing to go over is how it works. So I'm going to go back in here. Then I'm going to press F1. It's going to bring it up here. So we have these 3 tabs at the top. We have the object data, project data, and then the database. All right. So you can see I do have some database options right here. And these are grayed out so I cannot edit them. And that is because they are not editable in my database. So let's go to options right here. And let's close out, go to database, go to options. And if I clicked is changeable, savable doesn't matter, but is changeable, then I would click OK. And when I would go back to check on that, we can see that now I can make changes. So I can actually type in something here and actually make a change on it. Okay. Now, while we're here, I have, we can search. So I can, if this was long, I could search like this. And then additionally, I can search over here. So I could say options. Now I added a kind of a anchor right here. So if I click on this and then I go back out and then I start typing in weapons, then it will save it. So it's a kind of an anchor towards the filter. That way, if I wanted to specify two objects, which I found myself doing quite regularly in PGM, I allowed it to where you can have that object and then that object, and you can bounce back and forth. So yeah, this is the database, specifically how I set it up. If it wasn't clear, it does tell you what types these rows and columns are. So pretty nice. These are all strings, basically. Now, the other thing is, too, is let's just say that you close the F1 menu and then you open it again. It's going to save at the last spot that you were. So it's kind of cool like that as well. PGMs wouldn't save, I believe. And so you always constantly had to type in the thing that you were searching for if you needed to close it again. So anyway, that's the database. It also saves between tabs too, so you can always be checking stuff and going from there. Project data is pretty self-explanatory. Basically, you have your values of your variables and then you have your switches. You can search them just like the previous one, and then you can turn these switches on or off, and then you can also change these values. So you can change this to 15, and then boom, its magic value is 15. Now it is, yeah, so see, it changed. Now all you have to do is just type and it will change. That might feel a little weird, but that's just how it is right now. So just by me going like this, I didn't have to hit enter. I did anyway, just because I'm used to it, but I don't think you have to hit enter. It will just make the change, all right? You can verify all this stuff if you use the remote and go from there. Yeah, you can type and search, and it's a fuzzy search, so it doesn't need anything specifically. It will just work as intended. I can just type in money. It gives me the capital money. Money. I guess you have to get something right, but it's a little bit of a fuzzy search. But anyway, project data is pretty self-explanatory. Now you got your object data. This is pretty self-explanatory as well. It's pretty similar to the database, where you have these anchors, and then you can search up more, and you can do however you want on that. You can then click on things, and then you'll see their switches and their variables right here, which is really handy. They're just all right there. So I do have grayed out read-only ones, similar to the database, where they're kind of grayed out if they're read-only, and then if they're changeable, they're fully changeable. Project database didn't have any of those, I guess. So yeah, we have some readable ones in the variables, and you can see that it does go up to 3 digits. So yeah, we can see that the left-right speed is 150, and then if I was to change this to 350, I am now a lot faster. So you can see that we can do this. If I scroll up here, you can see that my X speed is changing in real time. My position is changing in real time and all that stuff. So yeah, anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, comment below, or the forums, discords will get you figured out. That said, I'll see you in the next video.